Hello, everybody. This is Still Rose's podcast. This podcast was created for women by women to elevate women's voices. I'm very excited to introduce you to our guest this evening. Today we have with us Shuang Ming Chang. For over a decade, Shuang Ming thrived working in luxury fashion retail, leading growth for French and Italian brands across China. On the outside, her life reflected success, elite schools, prestigious jobs, and global opportunities. In parallel, in her life journey, she wrestled with depression, self-doubt, and burnout. This dual experience, external achievement, and deep inner discovery, became the foundation of her mission to help others redefine success, not by conventional standards, but through, with, and from love. Shuang-Min, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for joining me today.
Hello, Jenny. Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm very excited to have you. Last time we chatted, we went way over. We were like 2 hours long while I was cooking. It was a total casual chat that just kept going, and I loved it. I would really love for you to introduce yourself to the listeners today and share your story with them, because I think I gave just the tip of the iceberg there. So I would love to hear more from you about your story and your journey.
Okay. So on top of that introduction, I'm a born and bred Taiwanese. At the same time, I have about at least 15 years of experience living abroad. Apart from my professional life, I used to dream enthusiastic. I surf. Actually, I left my last corporate job in the intention to start surfing again, becoming a surfer. I love to read. I love to write. I pick up like partying after like a corporate with the plans. I used to be a super organized, logical. I'm still am, but like it used to be like logic is on the forefront of everything I do, and right now intuition is at the forefront of everything I do. And the life has gave me a lot of surprises and transitions, and told me that there's nothing impossible unless I think it's impossible. To be the person I am, to the kind of person I am, or to reinvent myself. I think this okay for now.
No, that was good. That was good. No, so I want to go back a little bit because you've lived like almost like 2 or 3 lives, right? Like in my opinion, you've done a lot of things, and you really do have this really great, I almost want to call it like a spiritual powerfulness, because when we chatted originally, so listeners, you guys all know that I always pre-chat with everybody. And when Shuang and I chatted last time, I was cooking and we were just chatting, and it flowed so well. The energy was aligned so nicely. When your journey has been a long one, and I want to focus in on when you made the decision, and I don't know if it was a quick decision or if it was something that was over time. You had this corporate powerhouse career.
Yeah.
You know, I know that when I was growing up, that was like the goal. That was what I was told. Corporate's the goal. You know, you have to go corporate. And I'm interested in hearing your feelings and your experience and what was going on in your head when you were starting to get to the point where you knew that the corporate direction really wasn't feeding your soul. Like, how did that transition from corporate mindset to what we talk about now is vastly different. So I am curious about like, how did that come about for you?
You kind of jog one of my memories. I also grew up with, like you had to find a super good company and being successful in that super good company. I knew there was like people who starting their business, but to be honest, they were just like really a vague intellectual concept. It was not really in my mind. And during my time in a corporate, like some friends who are really close to me, and since I was abroad all the time, so I met my friends maybe like once a while. Interestingly, most of them will ask me, when are you going to start your own business? Because everyone thought I am a business owner, per my personality. And I would reply to them, no, I prefer working for other people. It's simple and easy. I get my paycheck every month.
Right.
And how do I, move on this answer to where I am now? It's just I tune into how I felt. My last corporate career, or my one and only corporate career, was really fast-paced. there are a lot of high pressure just for, external striving, since it's in retail, it's business, there's always high target. I work in fashion, so there are also a lot of pressure on perception on myself as well. Even I managed well, so I didn't see it that much in the industry, but it was there. And then, like when we went to Europe for the buying trip, it was like nonstop. I could go 20 days without sleeping more than 5 hours or 4 hours. And then we skip like most meals, and then just, to get that session done. So it was like at least 4 or 5 times a year. So it was like kind of, I always like regenerate for 2 months and a half. And then like I max it out in 10, 20 days and regenerate. And at the same time, when I climb the ladder, I also needed to travel more, because I visited store, we did the training, and when headquarters can visit, I'm in the entourage, because I in charge departments. All those things didn't, in the whole planning of so-called corporate, there was no concept of this employee is a human being.
Right.
Like this employee needs rest, or this employee that didn't have by nature order, there's no possibility to keep giving and not receiving. I'm not just talking about salary or respect or validation. We need much more to strive than that.
Yes.
And so at some point, I did that job from my early 20s to 30s, and then almost approaching my mid 30s. Especially for women, we can just instinctively sense that the body is changing. Right? No matter whether we are, I'm not married, I don't have children, but like the body is changing. And also with the pressure and with the fast speed of, like irregularity, especially travel in time zones is irregular by default already. Like that sense is, especially I train in the gym, I'm very in tune with my body. So like I can sense the difference, and I can sense how much harder I need to push my body compared, at my early 20s. And also at later years, they were experienced that my body just suddenly got really sick. Like there was like no doctor could find a reason. And every time I was taking painkiller, antibiotics, they couldn't, like they did all possible tests, like blood tests, X-ray and whatever. They just couldn't find a reason. And those medicines actually made me feel worse than my symptoms. They needed to stop.
It was really your spirit.
Yeah. They needed to stop the pain, but then the rest will, like the side effect will be in the rest. So like at some point I needed to ask myself that I am in life, we are always trading time and energy for something. That's just, the fundamental exchange of life. So at some point I had to ask myself that in the trajectory of more money and more title, more beautiful travels, of course, like I travel in business, and then I have the money to, like plan my very few vacations, but I still have that capacity to do that. Like how much more I'm willing to trade in that. And I think it was something that it's all felt, but not necessarily talk about, is that in that corporate setting, I am also trading part of my dreams that doesn't belong to corporate. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but we all have different life stages, and what we are willing to trade in for something, for one particular thing or for a particular couple of things is different. So I also need to consider carefully what I'm willing to trade in. For example, I shared that I wanted to surf, and surfing is a very particular sport. Like it has to be in particular location, and it has to be done like in the gym every single day or often enough. And there's a lot to learn, learn the weather, read the waves, read the wind. If I'm not there, they're just not happening. So I also need to ask myself that how much more or how much longer I'm willing to hold other dreams in my life in service of this dream. The corporate career, that success was my dream too. But, like I need to move with the transition of my life instead of telling my life, no, like I'm super comfortable now, let's stick to it. Because actually the body shows all those sudden illness. So that's how I transit. I didn't even think about I'm going to be an entrepreneur. That was too far into the future.
I like how you talked about the story, that part of your story, because what I heard and what came through loud and clear for me, and I want to say this for the listeners just in case, but I want to see if this message came through. But for me, listening to you, it sounded very much to me like your soul was basically telling you it was not feeling well. And because you were working to the capacity that you were working, your soul was suffering because you were not feeding that part of you. And and without that balance, because there's plenty of people that thrive in corporate. They love it. Like that really is something that like brings out the best in them. That's all good too, and I want to be clear on that too. Like there's some people that really thrive on, like they love it. And I know people like this that they just do so well with it. And it's great to see them shine like that. But for those of us who think like we have this other part of us, that we need this creativity, that we need something to feed our soul, to feed our spirit. There's that finding that balance and striking that balance. I do find it interesting that at about the same age that I was when I was making my transition from like, I'm all in corporate to like, no, wait, Jenny, you need some balance here. It was about the same age that you went through yours. So and I'm not sure. And as you were talking, and I wanted to get your opinion here, I'm wondering, and I know that, throughout our lives, our brains will go through changes. And I'm wondering, maybe that is a point, like maybe that is almost like a fork in the road when we turn 35, where we start to see like some other side of us that we're like, oh, there's this other part here that we need to acknowledge and pay attention to. Because it sounded a little bit like that while you were talking.
I observe because I believe that everything happened in life for a reason. And I never thought that corporate choice was wrong because it gave me so much experience up to this point. But like how I see, at least I am guided, so everyone can see whether there's a bit of resonance in it. How I see I'm guided is that our brain only fully developed around like 21. And there was like, and I'm not talking about the intangible capacity. I'm just talking about the brain, the organ and the head. But it's around like 21. So before 21, like all our capacity is just like, learning how I work, how I use this function of myself. And so during that time, and when it's fully developed and going to maturity needs some time. So during this time, I'm kind of guided with like very simple tasks. So I called it, being a student, finding a job, learning how to navigate society, understand the basic rules. But once we reach a certain maturity and we are able to, like put all this together, I call it data collecting. So we started to understand what I enjoy, what I don't enjoy, and we still have the remembrance of our childhood, the difference between this adult life and with our childhood. And a lot of happening or what we really enjoy in our childhood is actually the foundation of how we strive or being alive. It's just when we grew up, that expression is different. For example, I used to draw a lot when I was a little girl. So that creativity has to be there. It may be a creativity into a project I do at work, but that element has to be there to make me feel alive. And for example, I'm a huge learner and introvert. So I spend a lot of time, like watching Discovery on my own, reading books on my own, listen to, stories of tapes, foreign stories on my own. So that big learning part is also like what kept me alive. So when I'm in a corporate, I need that part, which was hugely missing for me. It's not just about learning about the profession. It's learning about a lot of things so I can bring into the profession. So like when we mature, we started to see the different or feel the difference, like what's missing or what is still there. And our mind, or let's say our spirit, will start to recalibrate, like to help us to understand a total picture of what we experienced so far. Of course, along the way, we have emotion, we'll sense something. And when we mature to 30-something, 35, it's kind of a point. I had a conversation. It's it's not like, oh, I have to, now I'm certified, I need to do the reflection. The reflection will come.
Oh, no, it just happens. Yeah.
Yeah, the reflection will come, and it's up to us whether we are aware enough to tune into that reflection. Because I also know a lot of people, they learn to ignore that voice. So
Yes.
later on, when I work with some clients, they came to me actually very disconnected. They are not sure what they want. They don't remember how they feel alive before, or all those. So in the journey, we are learning to tune in or tune out, tune in and tune out. And when we start to tune in, tune out, tune in, tune out, we will master these two sides at some point. And then, but with our life journey and also our perceptions and everything we learn, like we start to talk about healing and trauma and so on, I learned to tune in for some reason, and
Yeah.
some people's journey is tuning out. But at some point, we were all given the opportunity to choose whether we want to tune in or tune out. Like as you said, like 30 something approaching mid 30s.
Yes.
And then like there will be one like 40 or mid 40s. It'll be another way. If you don't do it in the 30s, like 40 will certainly come. Yeah.
It's interesting because it's almost like, when I was growing up, I always thought of life almost like, almost like a race to the finish. Like, oh, once I hit this age, like then I'll have it all figured out. And what I have figured out is that you never actually have it all figured out. You just have to you don't actually at all, ever. I make sure my kids know, like, mommy is not perfect. Like, I don't have it all figured out. We need to figure this out together. Like, let's work on this. It's like a constant learning curve here. And I want to circle back because I want you to talk about what you're working on now and what you're doing now. So you decide you're going to depart from corporate. So I think you took time off at that point, right? To just reevaluate and reignite yourself. Right?
I was.
You had to, and honestly, I do actually think about it like a reignite. You had to reignite yourself because figuring out what was missing and where you're finding your footing that takes a long time. Like, it's not just like, I'm going to sit in silence for a couple of minutes and, an epiphany is coming my way. Like, it does take time and you do have to be in tune with yourself. So I know you took the break and then you decided you were going to help others with what you've been through.
It doesn't come then in that logical order. Even now, it sounds quite logical what we will do. It took me a while to go off the treadmill of that corporate mindset. Like I had to keep doing, keep planning and setting a target and I needed to hit it. It actually took me a while. So when I left corporate, the first thing I deal with is financial security because I used to earn quite a lot and then I don't have paycheck. It's not that I didn't have saving, but that sense of not having everything coming steadily, it's very scary. And then, so that was the first thing that I tend to. And the way I tend to it is that I need to create something I can make money. So actually, I am an intuitive mentor and coach right now. So I went through the depression when I was 23. So personal development, personal growth, self-mastery has been there alongside with my career path. So it was just quite naturally, especially I like guiding my teams back in corporate. So it was quite naturally that when I needed to find a way to make money, like this is kind of direction I would try. So when I left corporate, the intention was actually to create something that I can make money. I didn't push myself to do something I didn't like, but that heavy corporate mindset, setting target and make myself like, being validated outside, have a title again, like created for myself and then have a certain earning to tell everyone if someone asks, that was there. I actually burned myself out. I was a bit burned out on and off during the corporate, but it was like, I didn't have time to reflect. But in the process of business creation, it's really different because I had all the time for myself. So it's very easy to observe how I was different than before. So what I observed is that first 2 years, whenever I set a plan, I sabotage it by the way of not waking up at the time I planned or not doing the thing I planned, which was shocking to myself because I was super disciplined. If you ask anyone who knows me from my 20s to my 30s, everyone will tell you like Shuang-Min is super disciplined, super organized, and super efficient. And I was everything but those three when I was at the initial stage when I was trying to create my business. And it wasn't that I didn't want to be those. I just couldn't. Like my body and my mind just didn't want to work with me anymore. And so there was a time that, of course, I got panicked first because what used to work didn't work. And I used those methods for more than 2 decades in my life, or even more, even longer when I was growing up. Luckily, over time with myself, like self-learning, self-growing, and learning to self-master my own inner self, I knew there was something coming for me. I just didn't understand, and I was really panicked. So I had a habit, whenever I was in big confusion, I knew it was time to set a big intention. That was so clear, there was no doubt. So I set the intention of, I am willing to find out what's going on here. I knew it wasn't working. I knew I was called for something that I didn't know. So I wanted to know. So I kind of set the intention, and quickly I was guided to a shaman, and which I didn't know she was. And then I went into those whole like things I didn't believe, the energy, talking to spirit. And I went through the session of working with the plants. It was not psychedelic. It was just general plant extract, help me to recalibrate my energy and my body, and also to help me to work with my dreams for a year. And that's how I was initiated, because when I met the shaman, it was a friend's friend. She didn't know me at all. But then after a couple of exchange in the conversation, she just told me, you are born channeler, something like that. Like in Chinese, but like it was like I was born super intuitive and connected to whatever invisible around me. And it was something that makes so much sense for me, because there was evidences in my life, but I didn't know how to interpret that, because nobody told me about this part of humans. So there was like, it was actually to nurture myself in a way to find a new way forward, because the old way didn't work, and I was exhausted. And that exhaustion is much more because I didn't have a corporate to force me anymore. I was the one coaching myself. I was the one forcing myself, and that was all happening inside. It was too much. So that's how I decided. So I took a pause, in a way not voluntary at the beginning. I just didn't know what didn't work. And then when the shaman told me, like, you actually max yourself out. Your body is like a 100-year-old rundown house. There's nothing to give anymore. And like, like it was a shocking realization, because I was highly functional. I was serving 4 hours a day and doing all those calls, meetings, and activities. My body seems to function fine, at least, even not according to my schedule, but it was functioning fine. So it was like a shocking truth. Then, well, as I said, I already knew that I didn't know what was coming. So I sensed a genuine feedback from her. So I listened to her, started nurturing my body. The interesting thing is that when my body knew I was there for it, it just crumbled. I used to be, training in a gym, like doing all those crazy exercise. Like it wasn't like much more compared to, how probably people perceive the size of me.
Right.
Suddenly it became really difficult for me to walk up a gentle slope. I couldn't. It was like, it just like crumbled down. And then I slept 16 hours a day, 12 to 16 hours for almost a year. Like I can't do anything other than sleeping. And then I ate for 5 people per meal, and I didn't get weight.
Oh my goodness.
That's the magical part, like how exhausted my body was. It was a very incredible 2 years for me. Like it was scary because I needed to take a full pause, because my body knew that it didn't need to force itself to cooperate with my mind anymore. It just crumbled. And I scaled down on surfing. I still do, but I didn't not force myself. I just didn't put myself in rigid schedule. Like I really take care of my body first. Whenever I needed sleep, I sleep. Whenever I needed to go for a hot spring, I went for a hot spring. Like everything is, it used to be in service of that career. In those 2 years, I was only in service of this body, and I needed to withdraw a lot of commitment, which was scary for me, because I used to be the kind of personality of Shuang-Min always sees through. everything goes through her hand is going to be done. But at that moment, I was called to practice. I needed to withdraw my commitment and the reason is just myself, that it cannot be justified. And there was a lot to learn. Like, I cut off a lot of my connections. I just told them that I can't, I can't explain, but like at this time, I need to withdraw. So like I basically for 2 years, I talked to less than 5 people. You know, it's coming from a big corporate, there was always socializing, try to make connections. Even I was an introvert, it was a really different dynamic. And that's how I took a break. And I didn't take any clients at all. And at the same time, the transition is real from a super logical mindset person to it's all about emotions. You know, how do you feel today? Because intuition is about emotions. You know, how we receive messages actually through the first layer is through emotions. And how do I feel? Like there are moments I told my friend, like F for emotions. Can I like talking about numbers now, like working with Excel sheet instead of like what am I going to eat today?
I know.
So it was like I had that, and slowly I came out, and it took me also a bit of time to really integrate the old part of me and the new part of me, because I didn't know how to stand in front of people who used to know me, because I'm so different. Like it used to be, Shuang-Min, what's your plan? It's like, oh, on Saturday, this and this, this and that, Sunday, this and this and this and that. And then it became like, Shuang-Min, what are you going to do tomorrow? I said, I will think about it tomorrow morning. You know, like, it was
what huge. How many, wait a minute, I gotta ask, you must have had people around you being like, what are you doing? Like, you're throwing everything away. Like, there must have been people in your life that were just like totally shocked. Because that's a huge, like I haven't shifted quite as much as that. Like I still have my corporate while I can still maintain the podcast, but like that's a huge jump. I will say this though. I do know that like I'm mindful about because of the work that I do, I have to also be very logical and very like data centric. And it's all about the research and it's all about the data. So when I start to talk about like intuition or, you know, channeling your energy, I definitely feel the raised eyebrows. Like, Jenny, really? Like, what are you talking about?
I think first it's really uncomfortable when people ask me like, what's wrong with you? Or what happened to you? You know, like when we say what happened to you, usually it's in a like leaning to a slightly negative side. First, I need to learn that I don't need to explain myself. We all change in life, and with drastic lifestyle change, our identity and how we express ourselves will change drastically. Before I mentioned I went through a depression. Before I recovered from my depression, I was a super cynical, always angry person. That person, that me is very hard to imagine right now. I used to get like somebody really angry and I used to like have like all kinds of negative view about the world. That was the first transition I made. So if you ask people who knew me in high school or in college and now, or like the one in corporate, it was just like weird. And then from corporate to this, it's also weird. I just need to embrace my own weirdness. And
you know what? I don't think it's weird at all. I'm sorry to interrupt. I have to interrupt you because I don't think it's strange at all. I will, in my early 20s, prior to 26, I would have these moments of like intense rage over like the dumbest thing. And honestly, as you were talking, I started reflecting back, and I actually remember when I started retraining myself to pull myself out of being like that, because I had just started to read and understand what it meant to like be in tune with your emotions and to be in tune with yourself. And I had just started to scratch the surface really lightly. And I knew with the spiraling rage, what would end up happening is something would trigger me. And then it would send me down this freaking wormhole of just everything is garbage. Everything sucks. The whole day. Everything's trash. I hate this job. I hate this and that. And then what? And it wasn't, though. It was just this like one moment. And so if I just learned to retrain my brain, that took a really long time for me to be able to do that. And that was I totally forgot until you just mentioned it. That was the very first thing that I learned. And the very first transition I did was when from 25 to 26, I retrained my brain to stop being so angry. It was the craziest thing.
Yeah. And so this transition, I also learned if I don't have courage to express this new expression of myself, I would never be around people who will resonate, or people around me, they can never learn to resonate with me in a new way. For example, just last evening, my brother, he came home. He worked in a different city, so he came home this weekend, and he decided last minute he wanted to go to a movie because the anime Demon Slayer is on, and we are all like really crazy about the anime. And so we decided last minute to go to the cinema, but it was so popular, we didn't know whether we can get the position of the seats we want. So I just say it out loud. Oh, universe, tomorrow, Sunday, we are busy. So please let us get a ticket tonight, like this evening. And they will laugh. Like my dad will laugh. My brother will like not knowing what I'm talking about. But I think you saying it like so often, they started to, at least let me. And sometimes I will do, we indeed got a ticket. So I will say, see, the universe works. In a way, I think human relations is about mutual learning what each other is. And if we don't know who we are and we don't stand for who we are, we will never find people who will give us the space to be who we are. And it's a learning process, because let's not talk about like intuition or logic. Even when I'm transiting from IT hardware industry, that was my first job, to fashion, my family went crazy because IT hardware industry, because IT is a big industry in Taiwan. So IT hardware is kind of like comprehensible. Fashion, what the hell is that? So they went crazy.
Right, because they're going to look at you like, you have this great job. Why are you going over here? Like, this is all you needed. Yeah.
So
I do have to agree with you. I do have to agree with you in terms of like between like humans in general, finding other souls that like are on the same like energy level as you. I have found, and I've been noticing it recently. There are 3 people total that I've met in the past 3 years. What is it, 2025? In the past 4 years, there are 3 people that I met that I met them and almost immediately knew. I was like, ooh, this person has a good vibrational energy. Like I want to maintain a friendship here. And it's very interesting. You can actually feel it, and you can tell when people have that good, like, and I don't mean like good or bad, or it's a bad person or a good person. I mean, like, you can just kind of feel
the resonance,
that energy level. Yes. And one of these people, I was invited to a function for them, and I got to meet like, everyone in their circle. And it was a shocking amount of good people gathered in one setting. And you could see the supportiveness amongst the group. And I don't think I don't even know that they realize what they have, because I was observing from an outside perspective, and I was not shocked, but I was almost excited to see this and to actually be like witnessing it in this setting. I was like, this is such a beautiful thing. And I'm not sure if they all realize how beautiful this symmetry is between all of them. It was just, it was so impressive to see, because you don't get to see it that much. And it was a large group of people, and the symmetry was there. I do want to ask you, so now you are mentoring folks and you are coaching folks now, right?
Yeah.
That's correct. So you work with clients individually to help them, I guess, regain their sense of self. Is that like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is that about right?
Yeah. And also like at the process of regaining their sense of self, they don't feel, because a lot of time when we are in transition, we fall into that belief that we need to give up everything. That's a story the society tell us. If we want to change into something, we need to give up, to scare us out of thinking about changing, which is the natural part of human nature. So the way I support my clients is, well, most of them, they are highly successful corporate executives. So how to reapproach success without sacrificing what they want at the same time. Because it's not about choosing success over self, choosing money over self. This is another dynamic. So I'm supporting them to create this transition and also to claim other parts of their life. I call success is actually the ecosystem of our life. We are the center of our universe. But usually the work or the children is our center of the universe, right? So
Right.
how do we reclaim this center of universe and then actively creating our ecosystem? How do we tend to them? What's the balance in here? What's in our ecosystem? How the people they don't even know? There are the obvious. If they're married with children, so that's the family and probably original family and their work. But there are our body. Yes, they may go to the gym and know like some kind of good nutrition or diet or food, but it's easy to buy into the society, the trend of, I need to be thin, but our body is much more. What is the most comfortable shape of you? I learned it like also in the gym, like I have never like the model is an ideal, but based on that ideal, my body actually wants to, like there are details like there are also our emotions. A lot of people tend to the family, the job, trading in their emotions, but it doesn't need to be. So I mentor and guide my clients how to recognize what's really there in the sphere and how to tend to them without feeling the fear or without falling into I need to give up, I need to sacrifice because I'm going for myself, so I need to again let go more of my dream.
That was good. I thank you for that. That was perfect. I like how you explained that. I've never thought of it like that. Like I'm the center of the universe and like how is my ecosystem set up and like and I will say this, over the past like 15 or so years, I've been really selective with how I'm cultivating that ecosystem.
Yeah.
And my husband and I are very careful. I think I told you that when we were having our other chat. We're really careful about like who we invite into this, into our home, who we allow into our energy field, because we've had situations where we've had people over and, you don't always know everyone really well before they come over.
Yeah.
And we've had scenarios where after like guests have left, we're like, ooh, we need to do a cleansing or something over here.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. So I think that I love that you took something and you've taken your experience and you've turned it into something that truly could change someone else's life. Like it's such a beautiful thing that you're being basically like the energy guide, like you're helping guide them to be able to be aware and actually fully living their life and not just living a shell of a life.
Yeah.
That's such a wonderful thing. Shuang-Min, do you want to leave the listeners or the viewers with any final thoughts or anything that you'd like them to be aware of? Oh, and you know what, listeners, I do have the website if you do want to work with Shuang-Min. I have it here linked on the screen. You can click on it live in the video for the viewers who are watching via video. And then for the listeners for the podcast, I'm going to link it into the episode description so that you can check her out there as well. Do you have any final thoughts you want to share with the listeners?
I want to share something actually I was talking about in a conversation yesterday about self-mastery. We are here to master ourselves so we can create a world that we can call heaven here on earth. Like the term heaven on earth came to me. It's not an original thought of me. It actually came to me through my sphere again, the people in my sphere, the heaven. We are here in this generation to create heaven on earth and to create that. I call it, you can call it tap into your highest potential. You can call it, realize your biggest dreams, whatever, but we are here to do that. And to do that, it's about mastering ourselves, like really know what is going on inside. So the resonance will ripple out outside. I think the tide is rising for everyone, for humans to create from the soul, which is love, instead of creating from scarcity, which is competition and war. And we see how that goes right now.
Yes.
So tune in yourself and set the intention to create from peace and love. And that will bring it much more than the current structure is telling us.
Yes. I 100%. Agree. Thank you for that. That was perfectly said. That was perfectly
Thank
said.
you.
Thank you. Thank you for being on with me today. I really
Thank you for
appreciate you taking
today.
time to talk with me. Yeah, absolutely. Listeners, thank you so much for joining us today. Reach out to Shuang-Min. She is available. And I did link the website and I'll link it in the description as well so you guys can check her out. We hope you have a great evening and we will catch you on the next one. Take care.